Alright everyone, it's time for the Occult video number 273. Life separates people and death brings them together. Death is the uniter and life is the separator. This is something I've touched on it before and I've seen other people talk about it. The idea is that when you're born, if you believe in reincarnation or moksha or the Deva-chan or any of these other things, life in the physical incarnated sense, like life is in flesh, being in a body, separates people. In Eastern philosophies, everything is sort of part of a divine whole, which is sort of a state of both being and non-being. It's sort of a totality, if you can explain it that way. And when you're incarnated in a form like this, or even in a spiritual form, if you rise to the level of bodhisattva or something, and you're sort of semi-incarnate, or you rise above that, in some systems you can literally become a god, albeit long-term but temporary. If you incarnate, you're separated from the whole. Now, they seek liberation from this aspect. I don't. I see that as part of the same totality. Both the ability to incarnate and be separated and then recongeal into a total and do this oscillating between the two forever is the totality. I see the idea of the one-sidedness of congealing and reconjoining that cosmic whole like you'd have in Buddhism or Hinduism actually as a bad thing. I think that's a terrible idea. To essentially lose all sense of self, to lose, essentially it's a non-dichotomous state. What they would say is you can incarnate and you can sense pleasure, like, in ticklish, good food or something, but there's always going to be an opposite. We understand and sense the world in terms of opposite, light and dark, good and bad, up and down, and so forth. What they say is that that's a bad thing. It's essentially the body's a prison, and you're seeking to use meditation and various charitable works and deep introspection and various other methods, sometimes drugs, sometimes orgies, depending on the system, to try to rejoin that whole. Why would you want to do that? At least not permanently, maybe for a while. And I've asked several individuals that were involved with Buddhism, by the way, and they don't seem to have a solid answer for this question. If you assume that there was some primordial point, trillions of years ago or whatever, at which the totality that pre-existed fractured and decayed, they would say, I suppose, into physicality. That is, that there are physical things, and they're separate from this totality. The spiritual and the physical have been cut off from each other, and now they're trying to reascend into that total. Let's say that at the future ultimate nirvana point of totality, everybody has non-reincarnatory state and has rejoined the divine total. Why wouldn't it just happen again maybe a trillion years later? Something set it off. There was some sort of internal cause to begin with, that, and it's not necessarily defined. Something caused the decay of things into these lower states. The demonic world, the hungry ghosts, the human realm, animals and plants and so forth. Why wouldn't it happen again? There's no explanation for this. What about forms that have no consciousness and therefore no ability necessarily to ascend? What would it say about the increase or decrease of the number of sentient life forms on a planet or in the universe? None of these things are actually answered. The thing is, when the physical body is gone, at least for a moment in time, you're part of that whole. You're in a non-incarnate state. You don't exist, technically speaking, in the sensory sense. When you die, then there's really no debate over this. Your body being dead, you can't see without your eyes functioning. You can't hear without your ears. Nonetheless, people go internally in those moments of death, and people can rationalize this and say it's oxygen deprivation, it's DMT that your brain's releasing to ease your passing and keep you from basically being in hell. And people still sense things. They're still somehow able to cognate things even when their brain is technically dead, no longer operating as a living thing. Very interesting. I will admit that that's, at least one of the things that leads me to believe that there's a spirit realm of sorts, a reincarnatory state. But anyway, life separates you. In order for me to experience something, it's separate from myself. The brain can't feel anything. I can't sense this cat, except the cat's external to me. I can touch the cat, it's fuzzy. I can see the cat, it's adorable and stuff. I can hear the cat meow every fucking goddamn morning, waking me up. If I'm part and parcel with the cat, I can't really do that. Some people believe that the cosmos essentially has spawned life in order to try to experience itself. It's sort of, we're sort of like, little cells in a massive god body or something. I find that an intriguing concept. Maybe it's true, by the way. But anyway, that sense of being separate, number one, I see as positive. It's not intrinsically negative. I think that philosophy is spawned by the fact that most people have had suffering existences throughout time, because until recently, certainly with the Industrial Revolution, most people were slaves and serfs and so forth. We're slowly progressing, I think, to enlightenment, getting past that. This brings up a whole other set of ethical questions. Transhumanism, should we become cyborgs? If we can cure dementia and live forever, should we become immortal? And stuff like that, and it becomes a little bit maybe New Age and hippie-trippy at times, not necessarily the same as grandma's Orthodox Christianity, so to speak. It's interesting, we are now fast approaching the era at which everyone is post-atomic, and therefore has a totally different set of understanding about science and about, therefore I would say, spirituality than all previous incarnations of humanity. But yes, life separates us. You have to be separate in order to experience. Death unites us, at least for that moment in time. Now, I believe in reincarnation. That brings up a final question perhaps here. When you reincarnate, as I believe that you will, is it instantaneous or does it take a while? Depends on who you ask. The Theosophists believe that for some time you're in what's called Devachan. It's sort of a space in between lives. In Hinduism, in Tibetan Buddhism, they have, you sort of traverse this maze-like area of caves, and demons try to scare you, and if you can understand that they're not real, you can get past them. There'll be a place where various deities try to tempt you with wine, women, and song, and again, you can get distracted by that, and this is considered a bad thing, or you can get through that. And then you can choose your rebirth. You'll see couples copulating in a big cavern, and this is a very abstract concept, and you choose one, and then, you're born. It's very interesting. And in some systems, it's instant. It's just like that. You die, a second later, you're reborn. That means that you were born on the day that you died, essentially. I don't know whether that's true or not. I do not believe necessarily that a human would be able to reincarnate as an amoeba. Maybe some other lower sensing thing, like a raccoon or a cat. I'd rather be a well taken care of cat. Might be a little bit of a boring life at times, but yeah, you get to sleep 20 hours a day. It'll feel like a short life because you spend virtually all of it asleep. Sounds like a pretty easy incarnation. You guys are lucky. That's about all. Peace out.